Welcome back, everybody, to, I guess I'd call it discussions with Father Krier, the pastor here at St. Joseph's Catholic Church in downtown Las Vegas. And Father Krier, when we think about churches and priests and assignments in parishes, I think the last place anybody ever thinks of having and running a parish is in Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how you came to St. Joseph's Parish, anything that sort of shocked you down here, and what you found in terms of the physical plan. I know Father Wilson founded this parish in 1993.
1983.
83.
Actually, it started in 82. He was working, but it got to where there was a permanent place in it by 83.
So, you know, whether you expected to be down here or how you found out the need for this parish. So I'll let you start to tell your story about how you ended up at St. Joseph's here, and in terms of what you found, and then we'll get into what you've accomplished here in terms of the physical plant and the place of worship, and you're getting into your community aspect of it, because in terms of helping neighbor, because there really wasn't a feeding program down here at that time.
No, there wasn't. In fact, even if you were to look at Catholic charities, etc., there was absolutely nothing of any significance in regards to assisting those who were in need.
So let's talk about when you first came, or how you had the idea about whether someone came to you, or you somebody cold called you, or
Well, the aspect is okay. I was not able to, and I understood I could not take residency in Germany because I'm not a German citizen, even though my grandparents were living there, and thank God they were, because when I was starving, as probably most of us know, that's where we have to end up going, as somebody to again put a little bit of food in your stomach. But other than that, I knew I wasn't going to be able to live in Germany. I had a school I was trying to, again, continue. And so I realized, at least when I came back, I would look at that as a springboard and hopefully, again, go on in regards to that of establishing a parish and that of where I had lived, because my family had still a property there in the Modesto area and that of Salida area. And as we, again, had that of those thoughts and getting things underway, my next thing was, of course, I'm going to reach out to all the priests that, again, were still holding on to that of what we would consider the traditional Catholic faith. And of course, in reaching out, I've met several priests. In fact, that was one of the things that is understood, because we are brothers in Christ and we have to support one another. And I'm the new child or kid on the block, as they say. I don't like to use the word kid, but I'm the new person on the block. And as we again were there, I had talked to Father Wilson, and
he was the founding pastor.
Yes, he was the founding pastor here. And a few months went by, and then I received the call from him saying that he had leukemia and he was finding it rather difficult to take care of his parish here in Las Vegas, and asked if I would assist. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll see what I can do.
This should be interesting.
It would be. Yes, I figured I could just fly over here for the Sunday Mass and fly back, which actually I was.
Little did you know.
Right, yes.
30 years later.
Yes. And so I was doing that, and then it's like the story of the priest who was sent to, again, close the parish back east. And of course he goes there, and then it opens up a whole new chapter. Because of course, coming out here, I thought, being that there was not really much of a thriving parish here.
Tell me about the size of the parish and what the services were held in, and what did it really exist of?
It actually existed. It was basically here on this property. We again eventually obtained all of it. At that time, it was being rented out, and it was only about a little bit over 400 square feet.
Storefront, wasn't
yes,
it? Basically a storefront, which is rare for a Catholic.
It is and not. I mean, some people would like to look at it that way. I know, and
I'm just saying, anecdotally speaking.
Anecdotally, it was. I know, and it's been there. But actually, when they first started malls, that was one of the things that they also thought about doing, was opening up a church in the mall, because that's where the center of activity, and the church has always been,
right?
well, not necessarily a church of commercialism, but that was a center of activity, and everybody went there, and therefore it would be a place to, again,
so how many people were in the parish?
So there was, that time there was about 15 people coming.
Latin Mass,
Definitely, and of course we had. I think the outstanding thing about that was, at that time, we had a choir that had a person who played the organ, who again was magnificent, and obviously not appropriate for his ability, but that aspect was, at least there was an outlet. Of course, it wasn't his permanent job, but of course, as such, again, we had the high mass and the 15 or so people coming.
Did you think that, wow, this is what am I going to do with this now?
Well, actually, I thought
you spoke Latin.
Yes.
Obviously, you were trained in Latin and things, so you could just jump right in.
Yeah, there was no problem about that.
Okay.
That was no problem about that.
Right.
It was a matter of looking at that realization that, like I said in the very beginning, that story of coming to close the parish, I figured, okay, I'll be here, but it looks like these people, the only thing I'm going to be doing is burying them, which I actually did. I believe I buried every single one of them, except maybe one or two who moved away. And as such, again, the parish would close because it didn't seem like anything was going to happen. We have both the fact that it's in downtown Las Vegas. You have that realization that people come here to Las Vegas for one reason, and that is to be entertained. And
one way or another.
So that aspect was, I started that way, but pretty soon we couldn't even get people into the church. It was so full. They were outside the door.
Explain that to me, Father. That's a heck of a phenomenon, because we've had this, up the bell curve. We've had, the chart would say that it started going off the, attendance started soaring from nothing to, you were burying people, and all of a sudden people are coming to the church. And you're thinking, I'm still in the storefront, or I need to have a better accommodation?
Well, that time, yes. And that was almost right away. It was almost, even before actually Father Wilson passed, that aspect was, it wasn't going to work. It's like, I'm not sure what happened, but it was like, I come here and there's nobody here. I come here and then all of a sudden I come here and the place is full. And
probably because they might have sensed that, well, if we show up, then he might stick around and we can.
It could be because
we can have a viable church.
But you would think that Father Wilson was already here, and he obviously had that of the experience, but however it is,
maybe people are a little more.
Yeah. However it is, I don't know the answer. I really don't know the answer.
So they started coming.
So people started coming. It wasn't where build it and it'll come, because it hadn't been built yet.
Now this is a magnificent, in my opinion, a magnificent traditional Catholic church. You had to have a vision for this. You're in a 400 square foot storefront, and then you're going to propose an idea to people that, well, we need something a little more fitting for the people coming now. And of course, you like to have something that matches expectations of people. So take me through, just take our viewers through the process of how you, decide to take the leap from the basically a storefront church to a church that seats hundreds of people in here.
Yeah, it's just like I said, making it, because if there's going to be, and it's going to be where people actually want the faith, and that means there has to be a place for them also to come. And so we again looked at that aspect of being that it was rented, it wasn't what we have. I had purchased myself a property east of here, an acre to build. And we went through all the process to again start building. And this is 96, 97. And as we again were going through that process, we had so much opposition, and we really can't understand why there was opposition, but there seemed to be just universal opposition for us of putting a church there. we can go into a few things, but I won't say anything.
You figured I better fall back to the.
So
I mean,
the idea was.
You talked about Las Vegas politics
Yes.
and things before, and I understand it's a who you know type of town,
Yes.
and you know, you're coming from someplace else, and you're asking to sort of now wedge yourself into this area, so you decided to drop back here.
So we figured that was not going to work out. And as soon as we again made that decision, the owners of this property said that they wanted to get rid of it. They couldn't hold on to it anymore. And we're saying, okay, can we again take that burden upon ourselves? And the aspect was, obviously, we going to banks and whatever else, no one's going to give a loan.
No.
So we said to the persons offering it, and they didn't necessarily offer it to us directly, but we heard it and we asked them. They said they would be willing to hold the paper. And because they were willing to hold the paper, we realized then this was the answer. Because this would again provide the space that we needed in order to again have that.
This is a good time to interject too, because when I first met Father and we talked about the capital campaign that's going to be kicking off here for the finishing the parish, raising the monies for the parish hall, you said you're a real believer in praying and providence, and it seems like things started to fall into place. Is you knew you weren't going to get a bank loan, but this person steps up. Well, we'll sell, you know, and just take note of that. I'm sure you prayed long and hard about what am I supposed to do with this?
Certainly, because you're taking on a responsibility. You're taking on a responsibility in regards to that, and of course, that aspect was once we again had this and we started again, there was even more people coming to again make it viable, and we were grateful for that. So that it became a permanent.
You told me there were so many people that you had almost like a closed circuit of the Mass sitting in what's now the kitchen / religious ed storage room there. It was so many people.
We had the people were out the doors again.
Right.
And that aspect was then we were thinking, okay, we're going to, and actually that's where we had to expand. We not just had just one Mass, we didn't have just 2 Masses, we had to have 3 Masses. And we had to, again, introduce the Mass where, again, that part where it would be normally in English would be in Spanish, because we had, again, a sufficient number of those of Hispanic background to, again, be coming.
So you figured, well, I better learn Spanish.
Yeah, definitely. That I told them.
I would have gotten a plane ticket and just flew out of town. That's it.
I told them.
I admire your... Well,
I told them that I have an option. Either you all learn English really quick, or I'm going to have to learn Spanish. And I figured it was easier for one person to learn Spanish than a whole congregation to learn English.
So things were on a pretty good keel. And at what point did you decide? Obviously the church was built. It's beautiful, and you put a lot of your touches in the statuary and things like that. Let's talk about when you decided to get into the social aspects of, the church's work with the community here in terms of doing the feedings, because in 20 years, 500,000 meals have been served on this parking lot and out of this church, out of this tiny 700 square foot facility with people preparing meals at home and things. So did you come up with that idea of what was the thought?
It's there because obviously from the very beginning, because we've been doing it for over 20 years, we've actually had this kind of settled in regards to feeding, having a meal scheduled every day for the last 20. And you would say, okay, that's just 20 years. But every time I came here to church and opened it up, you had those outside, the young ladies, I'll just stay with that word, young ladies. Yeah. Etc. They were starving. They were skeletons. And so every time I came here to the church, I would make coffee, make sure they had something to eat, and I realized
so you're just triage.
I'm just doing that, and it just became to where, to a certain extent, it was. We had that a few events that were there. We had you already have the 9/11 that again had an effect on people. And then we had, with that, again, that is have that aspect of also those who were coming here to the parish who, again, were struggling, that we needed to, again, have the means of providing.
Yeah, there were some terrible recessions and things that hit in that period too,
So,
where you have a very transient work population here that has to move on once unemployment benefits or whatever run out, and this is a service town for people too, so there's not a lot of savings to draw on when things get difficult. So you undertook that mission, and let's talk about the change. We know you've done that forwarding here 20 years, and that's been magnificent and inspired me to see that what was going on here. But let's talk about now the change that you see. You know, we happen to be in downtown here. Talk a little bit about how you see the mission potentially changing, if at all, down here, or people changing, and there's a safety aspect to being with the public every day, because I don't know how rampant drug use was when the feedings began 20 years ago.
Definitely this area has changed. I know when I encountered the city, and I encountered the police, and they tell me that I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be helping the people, that again, it's only drawing people here. I tell them, look at your records. When I first moved here to now, because when I first moved here, when I first came here, there was a constant, when you look at the area around here, there was at least about 5+ ODs, with the ambulances here to take away many times dead bodies. There was that aspect of constant police activity, and even those who again worked with that of the EMT would tell you that this square mile here was one of the major, if not the major, focus of most activity for ambulances. And so when you think of that, and then here we're doing this recording, and I don't think you heard yet an ambulance, a police car, anything.
Nothing.
And so you can again tell that definitely there's a change that's there. And that's why I tell the city, and that's why I tell the police, is I say, please, if you're going to say I shouldn't be doing this, tell me that it's better, it's worse than what it was when I first started. And I think that's something that has to be addressed. Not that I'm saying that what people are doing.
Well, you have a point of reference that says it was outright carnage before, and now it's, you know, we're doing our best to sort of manage and keep people going and at least fed here, and that there's some hope for the future.
Talk to them and all the different things and interaction that makes it so it's not where, and they understand that we're not going to accept those type of activities here, right? And therefore, being here and being that there is that assistance and whatever else, they can't just say, you're just saying that, you don't do anything. Rather, that aspect is because we're doing something, they again realize that there has to be some respect. Right?
So I think it's an amazing program, and by and large, I think that people respect you out there, but sometimes when somebody's hopped up on something, they're not really in they're not in their right mind. And you know, I've seen some rather vicious confrontations and things, but by and large, I think that, you know, as you told me, hey, this is somebody's brother, somebody's sister, somebody's son, somebody's mother, somebody's, you know.
And you have to see it that way, because if you don't have any heart into it, then they also sense that. You know, they have to see that you do care about them. And that means that your heart and soul is into that, as opposed to it's just a machine. It's just going through a line, getting food, and as soon as you're done, nobody cares about you. But rather, again, that there's going to be a response. Tomorrow, we're going to be here. Again, what we can do for you, we're going to, and so definitely, it has to somehow, even the situations they are in, there has to be something that touches them to, again, have that of the response. That is that turnaround that's there from what, like I said, was before. And that's the only reason, even for my parishioners, the only reason why I again say, you know, it is a burden. It would be so much nicer, perhaps we would think, in that idea of a golden age where every problem was gone and we can come here. But the reality is there's a need, and we have to realize that by providing this need, that definitely we actually are making it a better place.
You're saying we could pine for better days, but it's better that we roll up our sleeves and accept what we have, and instead of turning our back on that and things like that. So going forward, you also have the overlay. You do the 3 masses on Sunday here with the 10 a.m. high mass, which is magnificent here. But then you also get in your car in the afternoon and you drive down to the Mission Church in Needles, the chapel down there, and offer service down there, which brings me to the point that you have a lot on your plate. There's no days off for you here. Do you ever get tired? Do you ever get fatigued? And or you would probably say, I can't afford to be tired. But
it's again, that's for prayer. I tell people, for me, because a lot of things can't be answered, there's no explanation except for prayer. Because again, you're right. Being here 6 o'clock in the morning, leaving 9, 10 at night, every day, taking care of all the different things that are necessary, that are there.
Yeah, you have to put the bulletin together. There's no secretary or...
that's part of the COVID. We used to have a secretary here. We used to have, but unfortunately, like I talked to a young lady who seems to be completely capable, and she said that when she started receiving the money from COVID and she could just sit at home and do nothing and get money, she said, why should I go back to work?
Right.
And so the aspect has changed.
That created a falling away also. People moved away. And now we're on a campaign actually swimming against the tide here of now expanding the footprint of the churches, particularly on social media and things like that, and making sure that when people do come and visit Las Vegas, which I hope many of you will do, that you take the time to come down here and experience, shake Father Krier's hand, and he'd love to see you outside and take you in to have a donut in the kitchen there.
But at least see the chapel.
See the chapel here, and come in and enjoy. See what a Latin Mass is like here. It's so inspirational. It's so wonderful. And if you're local here in Las Vegas, and I always say if you want a spiritual experience that has a main line of real, I don't know what I would call it, of real power in it down here, I think that you can definitely find it here. So I will tell you, if you do want to help support the work that Father Krier does down here, you have ample opportunities below with the links to help with the Amazon giving here, and a lot of people have donated a lot of things.
I appreciate that very much.
And support the parish generally, and also we're unveiling and beginning the capital campaign for the final money raising, because it's amazing that the church is going to put up a parish hall here in times that people think that people are fleeing the church and things like that. And we're going to get into that in a future talk with Father Krier about the state of Christianity and things today. But I'm going to now thank Father Krier today. Is there anything that you would want to put in closing about your experience here at Rewarding? Is there anything that you wish was different, or is there anything you wish you could change about the experience? I mean, we're on thin ice with that when I ask you that, but
it's kind of hard to, because definitely, like we mentioned earlier, the golden age would always be wonderful, but life actually, I think, is always wonderful because it's always a challenge, and the aspect is looking at yourself and how you meet those challenges, and you're able to again meet those challenges that are presented to you. And if you again can see that, where you again encounter those challenges and you meet those challenges, I think that in itself is not that we want a reward now, but rather though it is something that I think is rewarding for anyone. When that child that has gone through the university receives that diploma, all that work to obtain it, that there's a reward there. It might be just a piece of paper, but that moment is a reward because they again realize that they met the challenge and they were able to complete that. So again, amazing. Here we look at that of what's presented, and we're very happy that again we have this here, and we think that definitely it's all because so many have met those challenges, and that therefore that God.
Yeah, there's a lot of history that's come before, and we just build upon that. And I'm a believer in another golden age that's coming myself here. And well, thank you, Father. And if you're not subscribed to the church's channel here on YouTube, please do. There will be many informative and I think interesting discussions coming up in the state of things, and also the way Father Krier's some of his theology and some of his relaying the church's belief about some of the problems that we encounter in society today. I think that you'll want to be a part of that. So please subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. And as usual, Father, I want to thank you for excellent overview of your coming to Lost. I've learned a lot of things here today. I'm very appreciative that you're here. You've been amazing to me, spiritually and inspirationally in so many ways. So any final words, and then you can give a blessing to our...
Thank you for hosting this, and hopefully again it will be a benefit for those, especially those also who are looking for and wanting to know the faith. And that's why I invite all, especially here, who again want an experience of what the faith was. This is still here, and just being here again, you can have that experience that is there. Why previous to the changes in what we would consider the modern world, there were so many Catholics, and again, they all held that same faith and came to that same Mass. Benedictio omnipotentis, Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti, super vos et humani et semper. Amen.
Thank you very much, Father. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.